Tonight, the latest developments demand your full attention, and once you hear this, you'll understand why. The 2025 BET Awards just became the most talked about event in entertainment, and it has nothing to do with the performances. What happened on that stage has sent shockwaves through Hollywood, the royal family, and social media alike. Kevin Hart, known for his fearless comedy, just did something that nobody saw coming. He took aim at Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex herself, and what followed was nothing short of explosive. But before we dive into this unbelievable story, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on breaking news like this. And here's a question for you. Do you think celebrities should be off limits when it comes to comedy, or is everyone fair game? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to smash that like button if you want to see more fearless reporting like this. Now let's get into what actually happened. The BET Awards have always been a night of celebration, music, and culture. The stage was set, the lights were bright, and the biggest names in entertainment filled the room. Kevin Hart was hosting, doing what he does best, cracking jokes, keeping the energy high, and making everyone laugh. But then something shifted. Mid-monologue, Kevin paused, looked out at the audience, and dropped a line that made the entire room go silent. He started talking about Meghan Markle, not in passing, not as a throwaway joke, but a full-on roast. And it wasn't gentle. Kevin didn't hold back. He talked about her career, her choices, her brand, and the way she's navigated fame. The punchlines came fast, sharp, and brutal. He questioned her motives, her authenticity, and her constant need for attention. The crowd didn't know whether to gasp or laugh. Some did both. One joke hit particularly hard. Kevin mentioned how Meghan went from being a working actress to royalty, and then from royalty to, well, what exactly? He painted a picture of someone who had it all, walked away from it, and then spent years complaining about the very thing she chose to leave. The audience erupted. Some laughed nervously, others cheered, and a few looked genuinely shocked. But the reaction wasn't the most surprising part. What happened next was, according to multiple sources in the room, Meghan Markle, who was reportedly attending the event, did not take it well. Witnesses say she looked visibly uncomfortable as the jokes continued. Her expression changed from composed to tense. And then, in a moment that's now being dissected frame by frame on social media, she allegedly stood up and left. Not quietly, not discreetly, but in a way that made it clear she was done. Furious, upset, and not willing to sit through one more second of it. Now let's pause here for a second. Meghan Markle has faced criticism before. She's been scrutinized by the media, criticized by commentators, and even mocked online. But this was different. This wasn't a tabloid headline or an anonymous tweet. This was Kevin Hart, one of the most beloved comedians in the world, roasting her in front of Hollywood's elite, broadcast live for millions to see. And she walked out. That's a statement in itself. But why did this hit so hard? Why did Kevin's jokes land the way they did? And why did Meghan react so strongly? To understand that, we need to look at the bigger picture. Meghan Markle's public image has been carefully crafted over the years. She's been positioned as a humanitarian, a feminist, a modern woman breaking barriers. She married into the British royal family, faced alleged racism and mistreatment, and then bravely stepped away to live life on her own terms. That's the narrative. That's the brand. But over time, cracks have started to show. The media deals that were supposed to change the world have fizzled out. The Netflix documentary series got mixed reviews. The Spotify podcast deal ended abruptly, with reports suggesting the partnership didn't meet expectations. The big announcements and grand projects started to feel more like publicity stunts than genuine passion projects. And Hollywood, which initially embraced her, started to distance itself. Kevin Hart didn't create this narrative. He just said out loud what a lot of people have been thinking privately, and that's why it stung. Because it wasn't just a joke. It was a reflection of a shift in public perception. Meghan went from being untouchable to being a punchline, and in Hollywood, once you become the punchline, it's hard to come back from that. Let's talk about the jokes themselves. Kevin didn't just go for low-hanging fruit, he went deep. He talked about how Meghan's entire identity seems built around victimhood, how she left the royal family but can't stop talking about them, and how every project she launches feels more like a branding exercise than something authentic. He even made a joke about her and Prince Harry's constant media appearances, pointing out the irony of wanting privacy while doing interview after interview. One of the most cutting lines was about her career trajectory. Kevin joked that if Meghan hadn't married Prince Harry, she'd probably be on a reality dating show right now, competing for roses instead of living in a mansion. The audience roared. It was harsh, it was funny, and it was the kind of joke that makes you wince even as you laugh. Because there's truth in it. Meghan's acting career was solid but not spectacular. She was on a cable drama, not a household name. Marrying into royalty changed everything for her, and walking away from it only to try and stay relevant through media deals and public appearances has left people questioning what her endgame really is. And then there's the hypocrisy angle. Kevin touched on this too. Meghan and Harry left the royal family citing a desire for privacy and a normal life. But since then, they've done the exact opposite. They've done interviews, documentaries, podcasts, and written tell-all books. They've shared intimate details about their lives, their struggles, and their grievances, and while some people sympathize, others see it as contradictory. You can't claim you want to be left alone while constantly putting yourself in the spotlight. Kevin called that out, and the room agreed. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The reaction, or rather, the lack of reaction. Normally, when someone criticizes Meghan Markle, the internet explodes. Think pieces are written, hashtags trend, celebrities rush to her defense, and accusations of sexism and racism fly. But this time, crickets. No major celebrity came to her defense, no viral hashtag supporting her, no emotional Instagram posts from her famous friends, just silence. And that silence speaks volumes. It suggests that even people who might have defended her in the past are tired of the drama, tired of the victim narrative, tired of the constant need for validation. Hollywood is a tough place, and it doesn't have patience for people who can't laugh at themselves or who take themselves too seriously. Kevin Hart's roast was a test, and Meghan failed it by walking out. Think about it. Other celebrities have been roasted at award shows before. Some of the biggest names in entertainment have been the subject of brutal jokes, and they've sat there, smiled, and taken it. Because that's the game. That's how you show you're confident, secure, and not above it all. But Meghan couldn't do that. She couldn't sit there and laugh it off. She had to leave. And in doing so, she proved every one of Kevin's jokes right. Now, social media has had an absolute field day with this. Memes started popping up within minutes. Clips of Kevin's roast went viral. People started making jokes about Meghan trademarking the word authenticity or launching a new podcast called Everybody Hates Meghan. The internet can be cruel, but it can also be brutally honest. And right now, the consensus seems to be that Meghan has lost the plot. Even people who were once sympathetic are starting to question her choices. Why did she walk out? Why couldn't she just laugh? Why does everything have to be so serious, so calculated, so controlled? These are the questions people are asking, and the answers don't look good for her. Let's also talk about the business side of this. Meghan's brand is in trouble. The big deals she signed are underperforming. The projects she's announced have failed to generate real buzz. And now, after this BET Awards incident, her credibility has taken another hit. Brands don't want to associate with someone who's seen as thin-skinned or out of touch. They want someone relatable, someone authentic, someone who can handle criticism with grace. Meghan just proved she's not that person. And then there's the royal family angle. You have to wonder how they're reacting to all of this. For years, they've maintained a dignified silence while Meghan and Harry aired grievances publicly. But watching Meghan get roasted on live television and then storm out, that's got to feel like a bit of poetic justice. Not that they'd ever say it publicly, but you can bet there are a few smirks behind palace doors. Kevin Hart didn't just tell jokes that night, he exposed a truth that a lot of people have been dancing around. Meghan Markle's carefully constructed image is falling apart. The narrative she's tried to control is slipping through her fingers, and the more she tries to hold on, the more desperate she looks. Here's the thing about comedy. The best jokes are the ones that have a kernel of truth in them. Kevin's roast worked because people recognized the truth in what he was saying. They've seen the interviews, the documentaries, the headlines. They've watched Meghan go from royal bride to Hollywood outcast, and they formed their own opinions. Kevin just gave voice to what many were already thinking. But let's be fair for a moment. Being in the public eye is incredibly difficult. Meghan has faced legitimate criticism, unfair attacks, and relentless media scrutiny. Some of the things said about her have been cruel and unjustified, but there's a difference between defending yourself against unfair treatment and constantly playing the victim. And increasingly, people feel like Meghan has crossed that line. The problem is that Meghan wants to be taken seriously, to be seen as a force for good, a voice for change, but she also wants the glamour, the attention, the celebrity, and those two things don't always go together. Real humanitarians don't need Netflix deals and red carpet appearances to make a difference, they just do the work. But Meghan seems more interested in the optics than the outcomes, and people see through that. Kevin's roast was a wake-up call. It was Hollywood saying, "We're done with the act." It was the audience saying, "You're not above criticism." And it was the internet saying, "We're going to meme this forever." For someone who cares so much about her image, that's gotta hurt. So where does Meghan go from here? That's the million-dollar question. She could take this as a learning moment, step back and refocus on genuine work that doesn't require constant media attention. She could laugh it off, show some humility, and prove she's not as fragile as people think. Or she could double down, play the victim again, and continue the cycle that's already costing her credibility. Based on past behavior, it's hard to be optimistic. Meghan has shown time and time again that she doesn't handle criticism well. She surrounds herself with people who validate her, avoids accountability, and blames everyone else for her problems. That's not a recipe for growth. That's a recipe for isolation. And the sad part is, Meghan had so much potential. She could have been a bridge between the royal family and the modern world. She could have used her platform to do real good without all the drama. But instead, she chose conflict, attention, and grievance. And now she's paying the price. Kevin Hart's roast wasn't the beginning of Meghan's downfall. It was just the loudest acknowledgement of something that's been happening for a while. The goodwill is gone. The benefit of the doubt has evaporated, and the patience has run out. Hollywood has moved on. The public has moved on, and Meghan is scrambling to stay relevant. The BET Awards incident will be remembered as the moment Meghan Markle officially became a punchline. Not because Kevin Hart is cruel, but because he was honest. And honesty, especially in comedy, cuts deeper than any insult ever could. So here's the final question. Can Meghan recover from this? Can she rebuild her image, regain trust, and find a new path forward? Or is this the beginning of the end for the Duchess of Sussex as we know her? Only time will tell. But if history is any indication, things are going to get worse before they get better. Before we wrap up, I want to hear from you. Do you think Kevin Hart crossed the line, or was this fair game? Do you feel sympathy for Meghan, or do you think she brought this on herself? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one, and I love hearing your perspectives. And if you found this report insightful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more fearless coverage of the stories that matter. Share this with someone who needs to hear it, and let's keep the conversation going. This is the kind of reporting that doesn't shy away from the truth, and I'm here for it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.